Hey, this is Tyler with T-Jack Survival, and I am constantly getting asked the question, what do I put in my 72-hour kit? Well, today I'm going to endeavor to answer that question. Stay tuned. Alright, so I talked about fire and water. Now let's discuss shelter. Shelter can range anywhere from you making a debris shelter to you bringing a poncho and poncho liner with you. That's the right way to do it. To you bringing a tent, okay? If you want a lighter weight kit, I believe at a minimum your 72-hour kit should have a poncho, military grade, none of this crappy cheap stuff, and a poncho liner. The poncho liner will give you a insulation barrier. The military grade poncho, you can wrap it up around you. It can be a tent, it can be a lean-to, it can be a water collection device. It can cover up you in the rain, it can cover up your gear in the rain, it can cover up you and your gear in the rain. There are so many things you can do with a poncho and a poncho liner. I believe that is a key item that needs to go in your kit. Okay? Tents, that depends on what the 72-hour kit's for. Are you worried about an earthquake taking your house down? Well, then maybe you need a tent outside of your house, in a shed, in a camper. Maybe the camper will work, something like that. So we've got food, water, shelter, fire. Food. Let's cover food. When it comes to food in a 72-hour kit or in a bug-out kit, weight is a huge issue. I think you should have at least 10 days worth of food personally, and then you hunt and gather, and when you can't hunt and gather, that's when you start to eat the 10 days worth of food. But it's up to you. You can throw 10 MREs in your bag, and that's going to be some weight. You might want to take them out of the bag, get rid of the stuff you don't need, and put some tape on the remainder. That's called field stripping your MREs. That's a great way to go. Another really good idea is to get these Mylar packed bags. This is a full meal for a person, and it's been freezer dried, and this is just the contents and stuff in it. And basically this thing, how much does that weigh? You've taken all the water weight out of the food, so all you need to do is have a water supply somewhere. Boil it like we talked earlier, pour it in your bag, and you're good to go. Real smart idea to accompany this with is one Tupperware container. I can take my Tupperware with the lid, put the powder in it, boil the water, pour it in here, put the lid back on, shake it really good. Just eat it even without a spoon, even though it's nothing wrong with having a spoon. Then pour more water in it, shake it up, get rid of the water. So food is a major thing you need in your 72-hour kit. Let's talk quick about communication. Cell phone. Obviously the best piece of communication, but we all know it doesn't always work. So I believe the best backup is a ham radio system. Right here I have my favorite portable ham radio, the Yaesu VX8R. I've got a ham radio in my truck, I've got one in my car, I've got one in my house, and then I have this guy right here. A lot of people don't understand the ability of the ham radio. If you think about it, it's an autonomous thing, so if your radio's down, mine still works. If mine's radio's down, his still works. The repeaters, there's repeaters all over the place. If you're talking to one repeater and it's down, talk to the next repeater. So the good thing about the ham radio network is if a whole section gets blown out, everything else still functions. Unlike the cell phone systems, if one critical piece of infrastructure is taken out, big swaths of cell phones cease to function because they don't talk point to point like radios do. The other thing too, you say is, well, I can only talk the distance of my radio to another radio, and that's like 60 miles. Yes and no. You can go point to point from this radio to the other radio, but I can go to repeater, which broadcasts and expands my range, and may also tie into another set or series of repeaters. As an example, there's what we call the intermountain intertie system, reflector system, there's Echolink, D-Star. All of these different abilities or ways that you can connect this radio into networks of systems. The problem is you got to get a little education to figure out how it works. But the advantage is the fact you can go almost anywhere in the world and have a way to talk to people. Now this is UHF VHF. So it's going to have a short distance with just this one radio, but I have an HF or high frequency rig that's bigger, a little more power consuming, but I can quite literally go from Utah and talk to people in Georgia on that one radio system. Backup communication portion of this should be the ham radio. Then the next question that you have is, well, how are we going to power that ham radio long term? So for my power requirements, I've done this. So I have a Goal Zero system. I do have a longer review on this on my channel. The Goal Zero 20, which means 20 watts, is enough to keep this functioning well enough that I can use it as a backup communication device indefinitely. It'll also power my iPhone just fine. But basically what you do, you get this little connector here, you get the Guide Plus, you get the battery pack adapter for the Yaesus, and then you keep these batteries running. It's not the best power output, but it will make your ham radio work. At a minimum, you can use the weather functions and all the other stuff to listen for a very long amount of time. And then you just plug this straight into either your Sherpa or your solar panel. The cool thing about these batteries is the fact that I can plug it into the solar panel during the day, charge these batteries up, have another pack that I'm listening to, and just swap. Or I can have this big pack, which is the Sherpa 50, and I suggest you, if you can afford it, get the 100. They're both great, but the 100 is just a bigger battery. I can plug these batteries into the solar panel, and I can daisy chain this solar panel. I can do like 3 or 4 of them all together, taking 20 watts each to power up these devices. So they're modular. That's the cool thing. And basically with the solar power and the batteries, you can almost indefinitely run your communication. At a minimum, I would say get the Guide Plus and then the Nomad 10 or the 7, the little one. That'll keep your cell phone working. If you want to run ham radios, so they're a little more power intensive, get yourself like a 20 or a couple of them that you can put together, and that's the way that you address your power requirements in your 72-hour kit or your bug-out bag. Okay, so I've covered fire, water, shelter, food, communication, and power. Now we need to talk about vision or optics. People very grossly underestimate the value of having a nice set of binoculars in your kit. The reason being is security is a major issue. If you're moving into a valley, or if you're hunting, or if you're trying to hide from something or trying to find something, this will always help to expedite that process. It tells you what's going on over there before you get so close to it that you got to be part of whatever is going on over there. So one very overlooked item that I really suggest you have in a 72-hour kit or a bug-out kit or a get-home bag is a set of binoculars. One other thing that I want to cover is the medical portion of it. At a minimum, I think you should have something like an improved first aid kit. Now, the IFAK, or the improved first aid kit, is a military kit that they used, and it's primarily set up for bullet shooting, for wartime injuries. That doesn't mean that you can't add stuff to it. The next question is, well, what am I going to add to it? Well, what do you always take out of your first aid kit? That's what you should put in this. Band-aids, Neosporin, headache medicine, chapstick, and moleskin for your feet. Okay? That's as quick as I'm going to go on the medical portion, because there's people out there that are so much better at it than me. As an example, Patriot Nurse. Go check her stuff out. The final thing that I'm going to cover are tools. This is the most important thing you should have in your kit. I believe that a good set of tools, you can make everything else that you need. Okay? And some skills, of course. The indigenous people of Nepal used the kukri, right? And it was originally a survival type tool. Yes, the Gurkha use it as a fighting knife, but it works really well at chopping things. One thing that they have that aren't really heavily addressed are these two smaller knives. One of them is for sharpening the blade. Okay? And the other one is a little baby rabbit skinner. Just like that. Alright? So, look at the indigenous people's skill set in the area that you're in, replicate it, or just use the stuff that they've got. It's been tested and tried over millions of years. there's probably something to it. A good idea of a tool is a bushcraft knife. This is the Swiss Army Zippo knife. I've done a tabletop review. I'll continue to do more reviews with this. And it meets all the criteria of what I would say is a great knife for a 72-hour kit or a bug out bag. This has a little bit of boiled linseed oil on it. That's why it's kind of goobery looking. But the reason why I use boiled linseed oil is because of the fact that it dries kind of hard, and it will keep this blade from rusting. And it's kind of sticky, so it's not coming off really easy, which oil can kind of do. The reason why I like this little setup specifically is because it's a small compact version of a chopper, a skinner, a tool, and fire, flint and steel. I've showed this in some of my running videos where I can take the little ferro rod. I've got some petroleum jelly and cotton in the back of this little guy, and it's all a waterproof, very redundant system that gives me the ability to have fire really quick. Okay? Woo! That was a good one. Depending on the size of your kit, it's really nice to have a chopper. Now, I've done a lot of videos with the hatchet. I love my hatchet, but I also want to talk about this Bark River parang. I've done a little bit of modifications to the sheath so that will pop open, because it's so sharp that I'm going to cut this little tab off if I don't. Anyway, the parang, which I'm going to do more videos with, I'll be doing a Blade HQ video that'll have this guy in it in September. Watch their channel, Knife HQ, and you'll see it. But the parang is a great security device, a great shelter builder, a great chopping tool. There's just so many things that I can do with this parang. But don't think that I'm limited to hacking zombies with it. There's also small things you can do. If you know how to use it properly, you use the upper part of the blade. It can be a shaver or a small whittling type tool. If you use the tip of it, it can be for skinning. The center can be for chopping, okay? And then the bottom can be for whittling or small cutting, intricate type tools. This is a very versatile tool that does a lot of things that are kind of hidden. So look into a parang. This is the Bark River Knives parang. It is awesome. There will be a more in-depth review of this knife on my channel, because I haven't found a good one on YouTube yet, so I'm going to fix that. The final thing you want in your kit is security. Okay, that may be one of the most important things that you'd use. I believe that it's your responsibility, if you are the type of person who takes individual responsibility, to protect your family, protect the people that you love, and to get education and understanding on firearms. So having said that, the very final thing you should use is something for security. The very most simple way to deal with this is a Glock. That's a Glock there. I'm not going to go into detail on it. You got plenty of gun videos. Get a permit. Get some education. Just because you grew up shooting doesn't mean you know what you're doing. I'm saying this to you and to myself in my prior life, if you will. There's so many things that you don't know, so you should, at a minimum, get some NRA training, get some concealed weapons permit training, get more training than that at a minimum. So that way you have the ability to appropriately respond when an animal or a person is trying to kill you. That's incredibly important, as the backup fallback in this whole system of things is having the ability to defend yourself and your life. And it's also a very efficient hunting device, okay? It is illegal to shoot elk or big animals with this. That doesn't mean it won't take it down. All right. Having said all of this, this nice little discussion on what goes in the 72-hour kit, I want you to think about the fire, water, shelter, food, security, communication, power, optics. Hope I didn't miss any of them. Medical, and put that all in your kit. Figure out what you need for yourself. Figure out the skill set that you have that you can excel at. If you're a medic, go heavy on the medical supplies. If you're a mechanic, get some of your mechanical tools in there. Whatever it is that you're good at, have those things in that kit, because you can use your skills in trade with other people who have the things that you need. This isn't an individual situation. This is about you working as a team to be a productive member of society and exchanging your skills for the things that you need in a disaster scenario. So I hope this kind of helps people think about what goes in a 72-hour kit, what goes in a bug out bag, what goes in my EDC. If you can get all those things that I listed and cover them at least, I feel you've got an ideal setup. Okay? All sorts of opinions on this, but I feel that's the way to make it happen. All right. If this has been valuable to you, please share it. Please comment. Please subscribe. Please show your friends. That way they can gain a little free knowledge here as well. And if you have any questions on any of the items or any of the stuff that I've got, I'll leave the links in the bottom. If you want to see any more topics like this, let me know. And as always, subscribe, share, comment, and thank you for watching TJX Survival.